Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Just going to be sort of like a quick update video, I guess you could say, or preview video of something that's going to be coming up in the very, very near future. For anybody who's watched this channel, hopefully you've seen my retrospective on Dungeons & Dragons, which I started with the 0th edition all the way up to the end of 4th edition. And I've had people ask if I'm going to finish that series and talk about 5th edition, so the answer to that is yes. The first part is going to be coming up next month, so in the month of June. Will be my initial video talking about sort of the open play test and some of the things that were coming out around that time. And then in July, I'm going to have the second part, which will be sort of a look at 5th edition, some of the things that, are really great about it, some of the, more interesting elements of it, as well as, kind of showing where some of the rules have, been influenced by previous editions of D&D. So that'll be, that one I'm hoping to have out the same day as the 3-year anniversary of the starter set. So, all that said, all that out of the way, in this video I want to talk about some things that I was able to pick up based off of, the generous contributions that I've gotten on my Patreon page. It's really hard to believe that, within a few days I ended up reaching the $50 goal that I had, and that, was due in large part to a single individual. I'm not going to use the full name because I haven't gotten back. I don't know if he'd be okay with that or not. But the guy's first name was Kennedy, and he really made it possible for me to kind of get these products. So it's really awesome, and I can't thank you enough for your, like I said, your contribution, as well as everybody else that took the time and the money to donate directly to this channel and to my Patreon. It's just amazing, unbelievable, and again, I can't thank you guys enough. So the product that I want to show today, there's actually two things, and as you can see, I've got just kind of off the side here, a 3.5, 4th, and 5th edition Player's Handbook. So the reason for that is what I picked up, and I haven't actually opened these yet. In fact, it's still in the packaging that got shipped to me. These are the Sundering adventures that came out during the playtest for D&D Next. So like I said, I haven't opened these, and I know very little about these actually. Because at the time I wasn't interested in purchasing anything for D&D. I was content with, having 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th editions. D&D Next didn't appeal to me based off the way it was initially described, so I passed on a lot of stuff. The two that I wanted to get the most were these adventures for under the Sundering series. So if you look down here, and I'll show a better thing of it when I actually open it up, but like I said, I just want to show that I haven't opened any of this yet. A while back, a few years back, right around the time that I think the playtest was first starting, I went to HalCon in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and one of the guests that was there doing a Q&A was R.A. Salvatore, who is the author of like the Dritz novels, my favorite author, and one of the things that he had mentioned was that when it came to the 5th edition version of the Forgotten Realms, it was going to be written by, the setting was going to be developed and written by the authors. Now, for a while I was hoping to have like a physical hardcover campaign setting book come out, but that hasn't happened yet. The interesting thing that I noticed when I actually picked these up is that the authors that were mentioned during that Q&A thing with Salvatore are responsible for writing these two adventures. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open this up and just kind of show off the products, and I'll do a more thorough discussion of them basically when I get around to doing that 5th edition retrospective. So let's just get right to it here and just see if I can get this open. These are actually bigger than I thought, too. When I first ordered these, I'd never even really seen them in stores. So, what we have here are the adventures Murder in Baldur's Gate. And anyone who's played the Baldur's Gate video games probably recognizes that symbol. And then we have Legacy of the Crystal Shard. So these are actually pretty cool. We'll open them up and look at the contents here in a moment. So what we got here, just on the back, so this is playable with 3rd edition, 4th edition. Oh, let's try that again. It says it's playable with 3rd edition, 4th edition, and D&D Next. So that is pretty cool. And it looks like, I was going to read the back here, but it looks like it's got a flap over top of it. So I don't know, this may just be like a paper sleeve that goes over it. So let's just look at the part that we can see clearly. So the components that are contained in here is a 64-page campaign guide describing the city of Baldur's Gate and its inhabitants, which is pretty awesome. A 32-page adventure book describing major plots and encounters, and a 4-panel deluxe DM screen with maps and information for the Dungeon Master. So this looks like it's going to be pretty awesome. So let's open this one up first and just see if I can... so I'll get the cellophane wrap off of this one. Actually, why don't I just show the back of this here as well? I think it contains basically the same thing. But what I'll do is I'll just get the cellophane off. It may take a while because I don't want to risk damaging it. And I'll come back and we'll open these things up and see what's inside. Alright, so the plastic wrap was off. Now this is very thin, just a little paper sleeve that's over it. Like I said, very, very thin. They also had this little plastic sticker, clear plastic circle sticker, to hold these two things together, so I had to kind of cut those carefully as well. But what I like to do here is just kind of go over, like I said, I'm just going to read the back here, because, you know, it's be interesting to see what's written on this. So it says, "Blood in the streets. Wealth flows into the city of Baldur's Gate like water, as the rich luxuriate in their mansions atop the bluff, and artisans ply their trades on the steep streets. Masses of poor laborers swell in the slums. Money and power beget political scandal, religious fervor, crime, and murder. No one feels safe on the rain-darkened streets. Strange foreign gods are beseeched in secret shrines. The city is rife with corruption, and through it all, the body count keeps rising." So Murder in Baldur's Gate is a Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game adventure that can be played using the rules for 3rd edition, version 3.5, 4th edition, and the D&D Next playtest. Monster and NPC statistics needed to run the adventure for these editions can be downloaded for free at dungeonsdragons.com/sundering. So I've actually, just because I've got them up here on my computer, so this is the listing for Murder in Baldur's Gate, and just down here, you know, it says the monster statistics. Now what's interesting about this one, there we go. And of course, I was ill prepared for this, so I wanted to look through it a little bit. Once this loads up, the stats contained within this is actually looks like it's all just for the playtest. So I haven't opened up the adventure book yet to see what it says in there, but it really looks like everything is based off of the playtest. Like, it doesn't give multiple stats for the different versions. So like I said, I'm not going to go too far there, but for Legacy of the Crystal Shard, it has the downloads for 3.5, 4th, and D&D Next. So, which I've just got, you know, I've got them here. So this is the D&D Next one, I believe. And this is the 4th edition stats, which seems to mostly have the again, I apologize for how slow the computer's going, but it looks like it just has doesn't even have the stats so much as it just has what the names are. So I guess you have to still have the monster manual and things like that. So and the same thing looks like for so this may not be the most useful thing in the world. Let's see if I can find some actual stat blocks. Okay, there's the stat blocks. So they seem to be kind of at the end of everything. So let's just go down a little bit further. Okay, never mind. So I spoke too soon. the stat blocks are definitely there for each of the editions. So if you're a fan of 3.5, 4th, or D&D Next, you can run these adventures. I think what would be sort of interesting is to see, and that's going to be part of what I want to do with my 5th edition retrospective, is to see how similar the monster stats are for the D&D Next playtest compared to the actual final version of 5th edition. So I guess one important thing to keep in mind is that if you're looking for the monster stats for these adventures, you have to go onto the Wizards of the Coast website. But they're right there in the product description, so if you just go into their list of products, you can go down and find them easily enough. So that's that. Oh. Alright. So let's open this up here now. So like I said, I'm a little worried about how easy it's going to be to keep those paper sleeves from getting damaged. And we've got our adventure books. Oh, a little advertisement, which I always love those. And the DM screen. So the DM screen is a thinner card stock. So it's not like the modern screens that you can get for 5th edition or even that they had for 4th edition. It still seems nice, but you're going to probably have to work to keep it from wanting to fold back in on itself. Actually, it doesn't sit too bad. You just kind of have to work on spreading it out a little bit, but still, this is a pretty cool looking screen. It's got random street encounters, ranks of the Watch, the Flaming Fist, and guilds, and just a list of buildings, shop names, which you can, I guess, come up with on the fly, which is pretty cool. Shop functions, and NPC names. So overall, that's pretty cool, and I think... Oh. So the other side just has some artwork showing different parts of the city, and just a map there with some of the different areas, so your players that are playing through this can actually look and see all the different locations with the map there. So that's actually pretty cool. It would have been nice if it was a little bit thicker, but that's, I'm not going to complain too much about that. So what we have here is the adventure book for characters to levels 1 through 3. And it just has basically the story and the relevant information, and again, it doesn't include any of the monster stats because, like I said, you have to go onto the website to get those. But that's pretty cool. The thing that I'm most interested in, however, is the campaign guide. So I think this goes into a great deal of detail on Baldur's Gate itself, which is a city I've always liked to use in my campaigns. So we got our contents here. So it goes through all the different locations of the city, the government, Council of 4, officers, Parliament of Peers, the Watch, Flaming Fist, the Guild, the Gates deity, so I guess the major religions, cafes, inns and taverns, shops and other businesses, taxes like funding the city. So this is, again, something that I think is really, really cool. And the artwork looks, really nice in it. The maps are really well done. So it'll be interesting to sit down and read this. So again, this was written by, and I think it's on the front here. So this was written by Ed Greenwood, Matt Cernett, and Steve Winter for this particular product. So let's move this off to the side. Careful not to damage anything. And yes, I do keep the ad inserts because I like to maintain as much of the stuff as I can. All right. And the last one we're just going to look at real quickly here is Legacy of the Crystal Shard. So this one says, Evil stirs in Icewind Dale. The people of Icewind Dale have long stood against the perils of the North. For most of these folks, the events that shook the region 100 years ago, which would be the Spell Plague when 4th edition first came out, those are now distant memories. But what was defeated was not destroyed. Now, as evil forces converge on 10 towns, the people of the North face their greatest trial yet. Fortunately, they won't have to face it alone. So, Legacy of the Crystal Shard is a Dungeons & Dragons adventure that can be played using the rules for 3.5, 4th, and D&D Next playtest. And again, it just tells you to go to the website to find the monster statistics. Now this one was written by R.A. Salvatore, James Wyatt, and Jeffrey Ludwig. So I think these were the names of all the individuals that were discussed when Salvatore was talking about the writers developing the Forgotten Realms. So I don't know how much more they're going to be collaborating on. But if nothing else, you can at least get a little bit of information put out by these guys in these books, which is really cool. So let's just slide this off. So I think it's going to be basically more or less of the same, but we'll go through and check everything out. Legacy of the Crystal Shard, advertising insert. So the outside has the maps of the different 10 towns, which is cool. And actually what will make this really kind of useful is if you're running Storm King's Thunder, there's a potential that you could be in Bryn Shadir for one of the giant attacks, so you could use 10 towns there. And this goes from 1st to 3rd level, so if you want to run that starting with like the 5th level encounters, you could use this as sort of the opening and then have some other things that you could do until the giants attack if you wanted to, which is pretty cool. And we just have some characters on the bottom here, so these must be prominent NPCs, I would imagine. And then we just have the map, so the Sea of Moving Ice, Icewind Dale, Spine of the World, Kelvin's Cairn, Evermelt, so that's pretty sweet. Then we got the random encounters, so we got the 10 towns, North Road, Kelvin's Cairn, and all sort of these different ones. Battlefield encounters. I guess it goes into a little bit more detail here as well. Trinkets and treasures, so Scrimshaw. Random items, NPC names. The tribe names, and random NPCs. So if you wanted to create some of these things on the fly, you can certainly do that. So that is pretty sweet. Again, it's the thinner cardstock that we're used to if you have like the deluxe 5th edition screen, but it's still pretty decent. And here we have our adventure. What I find interesting is the fact that both of these adventures are for levels 1 through 3 instead of it being like, because they're kind of listed as adventures 1 and 2, but they really take place over the same level. So they both look kind of like ideas for springboarding later campaigns. I don't know how easy it would be to play one after the other. Something tells me it would involve some work. But that's still pretty cool. And then of course we've got the campaign guide. So I mean, I admit I'm a huge fan of Icewind Dale, having read pretty much all the Dritz books. I've only got a couple left, but it goes through the Crystal Shard, which is pretty cool. The different towns, what's beyond, the Arcane Brotherhood. And again, it just seems like some really nice artwork in these products. So, like I said, I'm glad that I finally have these. I'm glad that I was able to pick these up again. Having the support of Patreon really helped in this situation, because I probably wouldn't have been able to have gotten them without this, because both of these ones aren't discounted like a lot of the other books are. So these ones were still pretty much close to regular price. So both of these combined was around $70. I mean, I could have probably gotten one and then possibly the other, but keep in mind these also came out back in 2013. So how easy it would be to continue to find these is up to, I guess, up to debate. But something tells me that in a year or so, it'll probably be somewhat difficult to get this without paying higher prices for it. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of show that off. These two items that I've picked up, some fantastic additions to my collection. And again, I will be discussing these in greater detail coming up in next month's video when I do part 1 of my retrospective on D&D 5th edition. So again, I want to thank everyone who's contributed to my Patreon, as well as all of my great subscribers. You know, you guys, your support means, you know, so much to me. Again, thank you very much, Kennedy, for your generous donation towards Patreon. You really made this possible, and you will be fully credited on the 5th edition videos when they do come out. So again, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you check out the 5th edition retrospective when it comes out starting next month. So until then, thanks for watching.